In a T-bone collision, the rear seat passenger on the impact side is one of the most dangerous places to be. As you've heard me say before, the average American has a 99% chance of being in an auto accident during their lifetime. So this information could help you, someone you know, or someone you dearly love. So let's get into this and let me show you some things that people may not know. For instance, that the direct impact in a T-bone collision can cause crush injuries. And what I mean by crush injuries, well, a crush injury is just what it says it is. That is where the body is compressed in an abnormal way and in a way that God did not design our bodies to be crushed. And because of that, it imparts, not only can it break a bone, it can deeply bruise a bone, which is extraordinarily painful and very difficult to treat. It can compress flesh to the point where the flesh will shred. It can shatter not only the bones, but it can compress and shred ligaments and tendons, and it can cause veins, arteries, and most especially capillaries to burst and cause internal bleeding in that area. This will show up, of course, the bleeding will show up as bruises. When you hear the word hematoma, that just means a blood bruise under the skin. And all of these things are indicative of very, very serious medical conditions that require a trauma trained medical personnel to treat you to make sure that you get the best possible recovery from these injuries. With this direct impact and the crush, not only do we have the things that I just talked about, but there's also pelvic fractures and there's also rib fractures from the side pressure. When that happens in the pelvis, you know, the pelvis has all of our intestines and everything like that. We can have intestinal lacerations from shards of the bone or splinters of the bone, causing that kind of injury inside the body. And as well, we have all the internal organs that can be hurt from the crushing, from the pressure, up to the point where they can tear, they can be compressed and burst. So we have the liver, we have the spleen. We have even seen veins torn away. The vena cava can be torn away at the impact. Ribs can crack and splinter, and those splinters can go into the lungs. So all of these are very, very serious conditions. And this is why this is one of the most dangerous places for somebody to be in this type of direct impact collision. In addition to that, we still have the same issues with our noggin, because there is back here, you've got the C pillar. That's the C pillar right here in the car. And you can have the impact on the C pillar, the window, the B pillar, or the seat frame of the front seat. And all of these things can cause the injuries that we know that can happen. We can break bones in the face. We can have temporomandibular joint syndrome from the impact to our jaws. That's a very painful, serious, and permanent injury. And we can also suffer brain bleeds when the brain itself moves back and forth within the cranium and causes a brain shear. And again, the brain shear is the brain moving back and forth, causing the microcapillaries within the brain to break and bleed. And when the body reabsorbs that blood, it leaves holes in your brain just like Swiss cheese. Yes, just like Swiss cheese. And you can have all kinds of cognitive and neurological deficits and issues as a result of these types of collisions. This is why it's very important to understand the forces of the collision and understand where the hidden injuries are to make sure that you get the best medical treatment you can possibly get and make the best possible recovery that you can from this type of collision. And as we've discussed before, you know, your spine is going to be going back and forth just like this, just like this. And so this is going to cause the ligament laxity issues. This is going to mean that your head is going to act like a bobblehead. And at the end of the day, when these ligaments in here are stretched, they never, ever, ever go back to where they were. This is a very common. It's the one that the insurance adjuster loves to downplay because it's the one that they hate paying for the most. Another issue that you're going to have is the second most common and the second most ones the insurance adjusters hate to pay for, and that's rotator cuff injuries as a result of a shoulder strap coming across, catching you from going forward. But when it does that, it does damage your rotator cuff. And you're going to know that because suddenly you're going to find that you have issues with the mobility of your arm. You can't raise your shoulder and your arm like that like you used to. You would have an issue, for instance, picking up a gallon of milk. All of a sudden you can't do that. Or this is typically how clients tell us that they realize that they've got a rotator cuff injury is they have an issue with trying to raise their head in the shower to shampoo their hair. That's how they know they're hurt. But they don't always realize that this injury is a result of this impact. And so they don't tell the doctor, doctor, I've had this shoulder injury ever since this wreck. Please take a look at it. I think I hurt my shoulder. And they don't tell the doctor. It doesn't get documented. And so they suffer for nothing. Don't let that happen to you. And if you call us, we won't let that happen to you. The rear seat passengers, because it's so cramped back there and the same force is coming into them, they need the same, if not more, medical evaluation as other people in the car. 888, we fight.